This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper. Late last year, I was recommended a book by one of my peers. It was a book written by a man by the name of Pat Buchanan, titled The Death of the West. Due to the fact that for the past 3 or 4 years now, I've been paying close attention to both Canada and the United States, and I have had a growing feeling in the back of my mind that there is something seriously wrong going on. But I couldn't put it into words. So when I picked up this book that my friend recommended, the majority of my questions were answered, and the feeling that I once had diminished. In regards to the format of the book, though the book was not incredibly long, it contained 10 chapters across 227 pages that were chock full of information regarding multiple topics ranging from birth rates to immigration. Now for a brief summary of the book itself. Chapter 1 in Endangered Species deals with the population decreases in countries like Europe, Italy, Germany, Russia, Great Britain, and most interestingly, Japan, where the author draws an interesting link between their declining birth rate and the annihilation of their wartime faith. He also suggests that there is a possibility that this pattern might reintroduce itself in the West if the pre-existing tradition is annihilated as well. The second chapter, Where Have Our Children Gone?, revolved around the evolution of birth control and very early recordings of feminist extremists, alongside some recordings of true and heroic feminists during the proposed era of 1848. Some names thrown around were Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, both being incredibly impactful in the early women's rights movements. The third chapter, called Catechism of a Revolution, speaks of racial issues in regards to the current demonization of white Anglo-Saxon humans. It's a bit touchy, but it definitely opened my eyes to a new perspective on things. The rest of the chapters deal with subject matters such as the early recordings of those possessed by Marxist and socialist ideology, another chapter on race and immigration, and the fall of traditional Christian values. In regards to the author, though, Pat Buchanan's concern for the route in which he believes Western civilization is going down really shows in each chapter, in each paragraph, in each sentence, and in each carefully selected word. Though the ideas that are presented are not exactly popular by today's quota, the case that is made in regards to the state of North America is not one that is pushing for an authoritarian regime that is dominated by white Anglo-Saxon men, but the case is one that is warning us of the dangers of losing the traditional heritage that we once had. I would give this book a 4 out of 5 for a few reasons. One being because of the way it hit me in a personal way. The book had me in tears at one point, with the author touching on the topic of abortion. But to a major extent, that was partially due to where I fall in the political spectrum and where my values are as well. But aside from that, in terms of how hard it was to read, the vocabulary was a tad bit hard to understand, a dictionary was needed at least once every chapter, and numbers and statistics aren't necessarily the most exciting thing to read, but each chapter was also accompanied by recordings from both the past and present, so that kept things very tolerable. With all things said, I would recommend this book to late teens and grade 12 to university students and older. And that's all I have to say about Pat Buchanan's The Death of the West. Thank you very much.